Hey everybody, this is Carl White broadcasting from the secret headquarters here in the communications room at the Mortgage Marketing Animals / Freedom Club. And you are listening to Loan Officer Freedom, #1 podcast in the world today for loan officers. And all because you knew that one of these days I'd be interviewing Roger McGuire, a loan officer extraordinaire that is traveling around in a motorhome, yet increasing his business. And I thought it made a great topic. So, Mr. Roger McGuire, good to see you, my brother.
Good to see you, man. Always a good day when I get to talk to Carl.
Now we've done an episode of the podcast before, like a couple of times, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did one. On me going to Florida from Chicago. Correct.
That's right. Because you talked about how you get a book of business both in Florida and a book of business in Chicago and how it worked out. So really, this is just an extension of that because we're going to talk about living in a motorhome. So now you get loans from Florida and Chicago and where are you at today?
I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico at the moment.
Yeah, and those of that are watching this live on the Loan Officer Breakfast Club Facebook group page can see indeed that you're in a RV or motorhome. So just out of my own curiosity, are you in the motorhome or you're in the fifth wheel that you pull behind the truck?
The fifth wheel pull behind. We have a toy hauler, or as we like to call it, a boy hauler, because we have a 9 and 11-year-old boy, so they get the toy section and yeah.
There's more room in the fifth wheel. How long have you guys been on the road now?
We left June 12th of this year, so it's been almost 6 months to the day.
Yeah. So as we're recording this today, it's the middle of December, and so for 6 and just I'll time date this so this is middle of December of 2021. So for the last 6 months, you guys have been in a motorhome going across the nation. So,
yes.
And how many units are you set to close? I know we're close enough to the end of the year. We can get that projection. Where are you going to be for the year?
200, right. In the neighborhood, 200 will be for the year. 200
loans for the month and living in a motorhome. Now, you have a house down in Sarasota, Florida. So this is not out of necessity. This is by choice.
Right, exactly. We still have the house. Yes, we still have that. So, yeah.
So instead of going on vacation from time to time, you live on vacation and you go home from time to time.
Exactly. That is exactly it.
Well, brother, I can't wait to hear this. And again, to clarify, so it's not like you've got 5 loan officers or 10 loan officers working with you closing your 200 units. Your 200 units is your personal volume.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't have loan officers under me.
All right, dude. I don't even know where to start with this. I have so many questions in my head. So let me start with a couple obvious ones. So you're the loan officer. You're in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Most of your loans come from your primary residence area of Sarasota, Florida, which is about an hour south of me, here in the Tampa Bay area. And then you get another source of loans from up in Chicago, Illinois, because you used to live there. How do you get these agents in Chicago and Florida to still feel like they're connected with you to send you referrals when you've been traveling around the country for the last 6 months? How do you maintain that relationship?
It's being consistent, right? And obviously making relationships can't be fake, right? They got to be genuine. So I've taken a lot of, I feel like Karate Kid. I've learned a lot over the years, and since don't even make to mention COVID, but since it happened, a lot of those application of those skills that I've learned have happened. And that top 25% rule you preach is really what I look for. I mean, there's enough realtors to go around. Realtors will say there's enough mortgage people to go around. I really only want to work with the people that I really, really like, right? When my phone rings and I hear, oh, it's, Johnny or Zach or Kim or Lauren, I want to go, oh, I want to talk to them, as opposed to, we got another one. So I really take a time to stay consistent with the people that I do work with and want to work with. I think if anything, we've been doing this since 2015. I moved to Florida. So I've been doing this work remote thing for quite some time. So doing, you know, the pandemic really just kind of reduced, you know, lowered the walls to everybody who didn't think it was possible. Back in 15, people said you couldn't move 1,200 miles away and still grow your business. And I did grow my purchase business from there since I've joined the Freedom Club. I haven't run a face-to-face business meeting in Illinois since February 27th, 2018. So, you know, no, so it's something we're used to, Carl. I mean, it really is just making a point to consistently reaching out to them, thinking about them, talking to them. We probably talk personal more than we do mortgages more often than not when I do talk to the people that we send their business or we work with that send us their business.
So when you say keep in touch with them, are you doing Zoom meetings with your referral partners, or are you doing phone calls, or which, or do you a little bit of each, but how much of each, and how often? Like, how often are you reaching out to your referral partners that they still refer to you when you're 2,000, you're on the other side of the country, and not just for the day, or not just for the week, but for the last 6 months?
Right, exactly. It's a combination of everything, right? I try to, Tammy and, you know, who's a good friend of both of ours, has taught me the 4 phases, right? So we do everything. I call them, I email them, we Zoom meeting, and it's kind of having that balance. You got to feel them out. Some people hate the phone, they love the text. Some people hate the text, they love the call. I do try to make sure that I touch them each at least once a week, a minimum, in addition to what my team is doing. But our team is obviously doing a lot of the loan touches. So I try to keep mine more personal in relationship. And Zoom isn't the same thing as face-to-face. But personally, I feel like it's such a better and more effective use of all of our times. There's no travel time. There's no prep time. I mean, shoot, if somebody's working out of their house and, you know, they want to put their hair in a bun and no makeup on, keep the video off and we can still communicate, right? So there's a lot of things that we can
and just in case those that aren't watching this live, I do have my hair up in a bun,
right?
And I'm not wearing makeup, so
right. Exactly.
Hey, so let me ask you this: so you've, like, last year, how many? Off the top of your head, do you remember how many units you closed last year?
It was 150 something, 152, 153, something like that.
All right, so you've gone from 150 to 200 in units closed. So you've grown your business while on this perpetual vacation that you're on right now.
Right.
How do you do that, man? So like getting new agents to start referring to you, how do you do that when you're like literally on the other side of the country?
There's twofold. I mean, the reason we've been able to do it is I have a phenomenal team now. You talk a lot about the team that gets you from A to B is not the same team that gets you from B to C, and we've had some changes with that, but we do have a fantastic team. That's really, really it. But when it comes to new agents that I meet with, I mean, I'm on a massive podcast now, so the word's out. I never, ever, 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 ever lie about it, like ever. The whole moving from Chicago to Florida, never gonna lie. Getting on the road, never gonna lie. But I also don't bring it up. I'm not going to be on Facebook being like, "Hey, I'm out. You know, we're hitting the road." We've been. I don't put a lot of my personal stuff out there, right? So to me, it's, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Carl. It's irrelevant where I'm sitting at. I could be in Aruba, Italy. You know, there's a person on my team whose daughter lives in Dubai and has worked from there for 2-3 weeks a year. So I mean, everyone knows you can live wherever you want and work in certain industries, specifically ours. I have no head trash with it, so I don't bring it up. If it comes up, I'm very straightforward with it. And I think if anything, it just proves that we have the team, we have the discipline, and we do what needs to get done. You know, no matter, we've got the focus is probably the best way to put that side of it.
And so
with the right people.
And so like when you have a listing agent on a deal that you were referred by the buyer's agent, then when you're calling every Tuesday to update that listing agent on what's going on with the deal, and you ask for more business, do you find, does the percentage of new agents that start to use your services, is that increased when you're at home, or is it like whether you're at home or in Yellowstone National Park in your motorhome, do you get the same percentage of listing agents starting to work with you on the future deals?
Yeah, it's completely irrelevant from conversion on it. I think if anything, me being on the road has cut out a lot of the noise and distraction, right? My triad of awesomeness, I don't have a choice when I'm on the road. I can't go to a closing that's 2,000 miles away. I can't pop in and do a, grab dinner with a realtor tomorrow night. So I have to have the rest of my DSP very, very locked in order to keep that going. So no, I don't see any conversion difference being on the road. If anything, I don't know if I should say this, but there's a certain scale in your business. I think the realtor who's on their way up in production and business sees that they can do this, and they've got to let go of some of the things, whether it's they hire a buyer's agent, they get a transaction coordinator. I think it's proved that you can grow your business in an unconventional way, I guess we'll say. So.
Yeah, but actually you're doing it in a conventional way, which is, so most of the new business that you get is from just simple phone calls and asking for the business. So it's very conventional. I guess the only thing unconventional about it is you're not calling from an office 5 miles away from them.
Right.
You're calling from an office that's got 4 wheels on it, or I guess in your case, probably 6 wheels on it. And
6,
yeah. So how do you orchestrate your day? So as we're recording this is a Thursday, and so what does your work day look like? Do you work like Monday through Thursday, and the wife and the kids are off doing stuff? What does your day look like?
That's a good question. It depends on where we're at, to be perfectly honest with you. When we're in Glacier National Park, my calendar is a little different than when I'm in between 2 destinations I want to be at. I won't say any location, but there's some places where there's not as much to do and see, right? Where you could get lost in Glacier for months. So I try to, thanks to your advice, I really try to still work off of Eastern time, no matter where I'm at. So right now I'm Mountain time, right? I'm 2 hours behind you. So I still do the same things. I kind of flip flop what point in the day that we do it. My wife homeschools my kids, so they do school while I'm at work, and my day when I'm Mountain time can end somewhere between 3 and 4 o'clock, and now we've got the rest of the afternoon to an evening to do what we want. So one of my favorite things is when we were in Glacier in September, we were I got all my work done for the week. It was a Thursday, I believe, and like 3 my time because it's 5 Eastern. I'm like, all right, I'm done. It was 3 o'clock. By 3:30, we're at Lake McDonald skipping rocks on the lake, and it was awesome, man. So it's the same exact schedule. I think one of the biggest challenges is there's a difference between making calls at 9 o'clock and being on it when it's 7 o'clock Mountain time. But I really do try to stay diligent and still working the same hours just off of the Eastern clock, even though I'm physically in the Mountain time or Central time, wherever I'm at.
So you go sit in your back room of your motorhome, and you do your standard 6 to 8 hour workday, and then when you get off, instead of driving home, you step out of that room, and there you are, and your wife has been homeschooling your kids, and maybe walking outside with them, and then at somewhere around 5 o'clock Eastern time, which if you're in the mountains, that'd be 3 o'clock. Then you're done for the rest of the day. Do as you please. Does that work? Are you doing are you working the Monday through Thursday routine? How does that work?
I've waffled a little bit on that. There's been some Fridays we've had to travel. We did last Friday. We went from Arizona to here in Albuquerque. But I've always, in the last few years, taken Friday to work on the business, and Monday through Thursday is to work in the business, right? So whenever we get that shiny object of I need to do that project, I need to do this, and there's a lot of, because of being on the road and just the market systems that we are implementing right now, I'm spending a lot of Fridays doing that, right? I mean, I've got hours tomorrow dedicated to just get lost in mortgage coach because I think we're doing it about a 5, and I want to get to about an 8 or a 9 with it. So there's a lot of those examples to where the ROI on that time will go well for me and the team on it. So that's how I've done it. So Fridays are a little bit more of a flexible schedule on it. So it's my catch-up day and my work on the business or family time.
And then on the weekends, is the weekends the weekends is what you have off?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I don't work weekends, and I haven't for a while. I mean, when I work weekends, or honestly, most of the people on the team, it's because it's an aberration. It really does not happen very often. I mean, it's maybe a random text here and there, but I do not work weekends. I don't work a lot of late nights. So one night a week, usually I'll earmark for it. But again, now that I'm West Coast time, a 7 o'clock call Eastern which is again very, very rare, is 5 o'clock my time. So I'm still done way before when I would otherwise. So,
well, brother, that's remarkable. And when you're talking about 200 loans a month, sometimes people say, well, how much is that? I'd say for the listeners, insert in your own numbers. So like if you're, I don't know, if your average loan amount is say 200,000 and you're on 100 basis points pay, well, that'd be 200 units, 2 times 2, that'd be 400 grand, right? Which is really good money. If your loan amounts are higher and you average, let's just say $3,000 per loan, right? That'd be 600 grand. And so you just kind of use the numbers of that. So somewhere between 400 and 600 grand, probably for most people, is what 200 units equal out to be. And, some people average $5,000 per loan or even more, I guess, depending upon what area you're in. So it's a remarkable income. Do you is it hard? So here you are like in Glacier National Park, and when you're doing all this traveling, it really seems surreal. Is it hard to put on your work hat, like when you're in all these, like when you're in Yellowstone and Jackson Hole and Utah and these, in the desert of Utah, these beautiful places? Is it hard to turn off the vacation mode and work that 8 hours a day?
Great question. Yes and no. I mean, I don't want to be vague with it, but the reality is, and to kind of go back to your first thing that you brought up, and for the first few months of this, Carl, just being perfectly honest, that I actually had to put it in writing one day, just get my head straight. It was driving me crazy. Everyone I talked to that knew we were doing this, like, how's the vacation? How's the vacation? It's like, I'm still working. Don't chalk this up to like, I've just left and thrown everything on the team and I disappeared for 4 or 5 months, 6 months. And it kind of drove me, it was frustrating. And it was my own head. And then eventually I had this epiphany, like, wait, no, I've literally built a life that looks like a vacation from everybody outside looking in. And for me on the inside looking out, Carl, when I'm at those places, I'm in such a cool spot, man. Life is just good. I went back to our first real trip. We got a travel trailer last summer. We went to Key West, and we don't get 4-day weekends, right, in the mortgage world. So I've never worked Thanksgiving weekend. So I hadn't had a week off in quite some time. And when I mean a week off, I mean like off, like 3 to 5 minute check-in with 2 people on the team, and that's it, right? And we weren't there 2 days, and my oldest started crying, like, I don't want to leave. We had our own pier, own dive. The place was killer. I mean, it was very much glamping. And it was like my first true week off in a while, but my kid was crying, like, I don't want to leave. So we stayed for 2 weeks, and I'm making my calls in the pickup while the kids are, sleeping in the car the week after Thanksgiving, or in the RV the week after Thanksgiving. I'm like, it was so cool to have that moment. Now to fast forward to now, we're in Arizona for Thanksgiving. I didn't carve out the week off. I didn't work a ton, but my stress level, my coolness factor was so high. My stress level was so low. Like, I've been told my wife, like, I don't need the week off anymore. I mean, I don't want it. We all want the week off, but I'm now doing the fun parts of my job and the things that, some things I really like doing, but maybe I wasn't the greatest at, or maybe weren't the greatest for my stress level. And now the team's doing, and they're doing a better job than I am. And I think that's really what it's come down to, Carl. Is it hard to do it? A little bit, but the reality is the coolness factor in my life is at a point where, work isn't this crazy ball of stress that it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Hey, I got a question for you. I get this a lot. So when people, and I don't know if I mentioned this, obviously you're one of the leaders in the Freedom Club, which is a large group of us that are on the very high level loan officers across the nation that share ideas. My suspicion is part of the influences behind you deciding to live in the motorhome is, I don't know, there's probably a dozen or so members in the Freedom Club that, you know, either live in motorhomes or go on long extended, you know, months on end. Type. And so anyway, so when they do this, I always get this question, Carl, how do I keep my team motivated? And is my team going to be, I don't know what the right word is, mad, envious, bitter, that I'm on this 6 month, as they see it, vacation? I hear what you're saying. Say, no, dude, I'm working. Instead of working in my office there, I'm working in my office here. I get that. But how do you keep the team motivated? And is there any kind of weirdness where they go, hey, you're in Glacier National Park and I'm over here, you know, fighting off the alligators back here in the office? Is there any of that going on, or any of that? Like, how do you handle that?
That's a good question. I think a lot of this is just being transparent what I'm doing and breaking down the barriers. But a lot of times when we hear of why you can't do it, why you won't do it, why it won't work out, from, again, people outside of this, because my sphere, this is normal, right? Like you said, I've reached out to a lot of people that have done this. Yeah. It's usually their own head trash, but on my team, not really. I mean, I do feel like we're the complete essence of the team, right? I have their back and they have mine. I mentioned somebody on my team's work from Dubai because her daughter lives there. There's another person on my team, I hope she doesn't get mad at me saying this. Her dream is to live in Italy for a few months, and she's got that on her agenda. In most teams and offices and careers, that would be a deal breaker. She'd have to find a new job and she'd have to go somewhere else. She knows, because I'm doing this, that, all right, well, when you do this, not if, but when you do this, this is what your calendar is going to look like. This is what I need you to do. And you could literally be in Italy doing the same thing you are here. It's just when you're offline, now you're in Italy, right, and not here. So again, we don't have the same team now that I did a year ago. And I think there was a little bit of pushback on it. But honestly, if there was, I don't think it lasted very long. I think if anything, they like it. They like to live vicariously through us and where you at, what are we doing today? And it's fun. You know what I mean? We're having fun, and hopefully it inspires some people more so than brings out. I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but you know, we my wife and I always say, like, we talk about in the Freedom Club too, like when you're really good, when you're happy and you're doing awesome things and being successful, whatever it is, the initial human reaction, I think, is to make somebody else uncomfortable, right? The right people get inspired by that. And that's what the Freedom Club is, right? Like, so when I'm doing this and my team sees it, I don't think we get that. I think it inspires them, and the other way around. So yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, as soon as we decided to do this, the first thing I did was go right to, you know, Paul Dolan and I'm like, this is in the middle of chaos last year. I'm like, Paul, I need a half hour of your time. And he educated me more in a half hour than honestly the dealership did in how many hours we were there, times 10 or 100, right? So I've met people on the road doing this that really had to take a leap. And while we did, I mean, they don't know anybody who's done this. I can, like you said, I've talked to probably close to a dozen people that have and done it well, right? Yeah. So,
and you know, dude, what an amazing, how many kids do you have, Roger?
Two boys. So
what an amazing experience that your boys are having, and what an amazing life lesson that they're having too, because you're setting to them like a new norm. Like this is their normal lifestyle, and for them to see that, you know, the idea of them, you know, having you know, being stuck in a cubicle. It's okay to work in a cubicle, but just understand that if you don't like working in a cubicle, you don't have to. Like my son's an electrical engineer. He loves being in a cubicle, looking at his computer screen, doing electrical engineering stuff, whatever that's. I can't even follow him these days. He's gotten so far, you know, I can comprehend, you know, but he likes doing that. But what you're teaching your kids is, hey, this is optional. Like whatever you want to do, you can do that. Hey, so one other thing I want to ask, like just real quick as we're closing here, like when you're working 100% remote like you are, which I think is totally cool. And you know, one more thing I just want to say real quick, the part about worrying about what your team thinks, the right people will be inspired to what you're doing, just like what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And the right people will be
Right.
repelled by it and won't want to be a part of it. And that's okay. Dude,
Right.
literally, this is a true story. And I might have shared this with you. Literally, about 2 weeks ago, I went over to my office. I literally couldn't remember what floor my office was on. And it's only a 3-floor building. And I thought, gosh, is my office on floor 2 or 3? And I literally couldn't remember. But knowing I had a 50-50 shot at it, whether I took 2 or 3, and nobody on my team that I know of has any animosity that, Carl, you're never in the office. And I'm in there so rarely,
Right.
I literally forgot what floor I'm on. And it's not because my brain is so warped, even though it is at some level,
Right.
that the people that work at Hilton Hotel don't care what Paris Hilton's doing today, right? Their job is to work in the kitchen that day, and that's what they do, right? And if they're so worried, well,
Right.
Paris Hilton's not in here washing dishes, why should I? Well, that job's
Right.
probably not going to work out for them. So anyway, hey, just real quick,
Right.
give me a handful of like 1 or 2 tools that, hey, if you're thinking about working remote and traveling around the country, making $500,000 a year and having a really cool life, to do that, man, a couple tools you're definitely going to need to do that is.
Team is most important. I still think the team is most important and your mindset. But when it comes to actual tools, I mean, we talked a little offline on this, but we've been to 24 states in 6 months. I went to 7 states before I went away to college, right? So my cup is like my circle was small growing up. Right now, to see 24 months in the 24 states in 6 months, it's pretty eye-opening in that arena. But Wi-Fi and technology changes too, depending on where you're at. So you have to have like this redundancy with your technology. And Paul, that's why I mentioned I reached out to Paul. Is I have a Wi-Fi, for lack of a better description, account with everybody. I got AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. So when one's not working, I got to back up to my backup, and then really I kind of have a fourth one too. So you have to have the Wi-Fi. I mean, I hate to jinx myself, but I've probably only had 3 or 4 bad days when it came to technology on there, and otherwise it's been pretty seamless. So I think the Wi-Fi has to be there, right? Because most of what we do is through Zoom and Ringcentral and things of that nature. But that's from a tech standpoint, from a things to have it, you have to have that redundancy there.
All right. And then for your phone system, you're using Ringcentral?
Ringcentral, yep.
Yeah. And does that just ring on your cell phone, or does that ring into your computer, or how does Ringcentral work?
So our office we have a receptionist who answers all the office calls. When I moved to Florida, I actually had 2 cell phones, which is like the biggest curse in the world. So we ported over my Florida cell phone to the office, so those all go there. And my old Illinois phone that I had for 15, 20 years goes to somebody on my team. So if they don't answer it, it hits voicemail, and then the team gets an email to jump on it. So if it is a new lead or what have you, they still get my voicemail. So any calls to me on Ringcentral, I see them on my phone, so I can answer them. But if I can't get to it, it immediately flows to the team through call, voicemail, text, and email. So somebody jumps on it.
So what you're saying is like the real estate agents and the customers don't actually have your cell phone number. They've got your office number, which is an app on your phone. And if somebody, so when somebody calls Roger, and I'm using air quotes here, when somebody calls Roger, they're actually calling your office, because you have 200 loans. There's no way you could handle that many calls through a cell phone anyway.
Right. And it's not fair to the clients or the realtors to do that, right? I mean, I've had 2-hour meetings I've been in, you walk out pre-Freedom Club, right? Doing this, where you walk out to 7 voicemails and 12 text messages and 70 emails. It's not fair to anybody who's trying to reach you at that point in time to do it. So it's actually a pretty self-listing to do that, in addition to being a little selfish too, right? So yes, if anybody reaches me individually or as an office, it all goes to the team so they can jump on it.
Yeah. And so is it just in wrapping up, I keep going around to this new business, because you're not, obviously you're not doing any open houses because you're not in the same state.
No.
You're not doing
Correct.
any office presentations because you're not in the same state. So
Correct.
how are you getting most of your loans?
Well, I have done office presentations. They've just been through Zoom instead of in person, so you still can do that. I'm still doing it the normal way. We have a freedom caller who makes call with new agents and then sets up a coffee meeting. Instead of doing coffee, we just say it's a 15-minute virtual meeting to get to know you. It's same script, it's just not physically being there for coffee. And then same follow-up campaign. So yeah, it really is no different. It's just not, it's the virtual. I try to do the first meeting by phone and then the second one through Zoom. That's how I usually do the new realtor meetings. Is the first one's about them over the phone. It's short, sweet, to the point. We try to leave them with, wanting something more, and I know I will too. And then we set up a time on the calendar to do a Zoom meeting, face to face, so to speak.
Man, Roger, dude, you're just like you're truly one of the nicest persons ever, man. You're such an inspiration. And somehow I used to get the impression that these high-powered, high-level business people, loan officers, whatever, any kind of, we're all these hard driving and, kind of in your face kind of people. And you're like Mr. Cool, man. You're just like the one of the nicest guys ever. And that you're having this fantastic success in your business and seems like in your family life too, where you're out on in essence, a perpetual vacation and spending time with your lovely bride and your boys learning from dear old dad how to run a family and how to run a business and doing it on your terms and not somebody else's. Brother, my hat's just off to you. You're a huge inspiration to me, and I know literally thousands of loan officers across the nation.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. Again, it's all who you hang with, and this it was an idea pre-Freedom Club, but it wouldn't. Just being perfectly honest, it wouldn't have happened. Most likely, it definitely wouldn't have happened as smoothly without you and the rest of the people in the Freedom Club. So I appreciate it, and we joke we're turning our kids into the Dos Equis guys, and they don't even know it, right? So trying to get all these experiences and excited to see what men they turn into. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, cool. Congratulations. Hey, last question, man. When what are you doing next year?
It's I don't know. We're not stopping. We've hit 24 states. Most have been, we went up to Chicago and hit west. So I'd like to see the Northeast. My youngest, my kids are very involved with this. Where do you want to go? My little guy from day one has always wanted to go to DC. I've never been there. So I know where that's a big rock we're going to fill. And so I think we'll hit the East Coast and Northeast, and we'll keep doing it as long as it's fun. So there's 4 of us, and as long as we're all having fun, which we all are, we're going to keep doing it until we decide not to. Right? It's our terms, it's our life, and like I said, we're enjoying every minute of it. That's for sure. We said a lot, Carl. Like, my kids are the sweet spot of life. They're 9 and 11, right? They still think I'm cool. This trip has kept them little boys, right? They have the lifestyle that I did as growing up, right? You play outside till the street lights come on and you come inside, and we're doing it as a family. And I'm just enjoying that, right? They're enjoying that. And I think for the rest of our life, we'll always wish we were on this trip with them at this age. Not that we want to keep them, little forever, but so as long as we can elongate this, Carl, we're gonna keep doing it. So
yeah, well, good for you, man. Well, congratulations, brother. And
appreciate it, brother.
Thanks for getting up so early Mountain Standard Time to do this recording with me today, and I appreciate you helping me inspire across the nation.
Likewise, thank you, Carl, seriously, for everything you do. I greatly appreciate it.
All right, cool. Hey, if you're listening to this today and you want to know, hey, what kind of a plan did we put together? I'll tell you what Roger did a few years back, as he scheduled a call with us, and we helped map out a plan to him. And boy, I have to tell you, we mapped out a plan to him. I look at his plan now, he went way beyond what we mapped out on that first 90-day plan. But if you'd like to see what one of those 90-day plans look like, we'll give it to you. Just go to loanofficerstrategycall.com, loanofficerstrategycall.com. It'll ask you a couple questions so that we can prepare for the call. And once you answer those just a handful of questions to help us prepare for the call, it'll take you to a calendar. You pick a time and date that works for you, and figure about a 45-minute call, and we'll just kind of map out what the next 90 days looks like. And that it'll be the exact same phone call that Roger did a few years back, and we'd love to map that out with you also. So loanofficerstrategycall.com. We'll see you there. Hey, we always appreciate the reviews here on the podcast platform that you're listening to. So appreciate those reviews, and be sure to reach out to Mr. Roger McGuire and show him some love for mapping out some time for us today. So with that, we'll see you on the next episode of Loan Officer Freedom, and we'll talk to you when you call in on the Loan Officer Strategy Call. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you, guys.